Hello everybody, it's that Friday feeling again. I've had a bit of a manic week at work, so I've come home, it's Thursday, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to sit and do my tag. Just need something to do just to distract my mind. So, unlucky for some, we're on number 13. I don't know if anybody out there is superstitious, but I've decided for this tag, I'm going gold. Not gold as in blingy blingy gold, but lots and lots of different yellows. I just think the sun started shining. We're all feeling a little bit brighter, a bit more optimistic about things. So let's go for goldy colours. So what I've gathered together is I've got two different threads. I've got a DMC thread and a linen thread. Two really nice ones. One's a bit shiny, one's a little bit dull. Just thought that'd be quite nice. And then I've just pulled together a range of bits and pieces. So I've got some tiny little toggles. I think they're also used as eyes for teddy bears sometimes. I've got my tiny little safety pins. I've got some buttons, a little bit of lace, and then I've got my selection of fabrics, lots of bits and pieces. It does make me giggle when I see people's auditioning and they've got an absolute table full of stuff when we're just doing a little tag. So got everything together. So we're going to just do layers, lots of layers with this particular one because I just wanted to sit and just do some sewing today. So that's sort of what's inspired me. So I've got a really lovely piece of fabric. I think my friend Jane dyed this. It was one of the bits that's in my stash. I just think it's a gorgeous textured background. So I'm going to start off with that as my background for my tag. Just get a nice section cut out. So I'm using all sorts of different fabrics, nothing specific. This is a cotton. I've got some upholstery fabric, bit of dressmaking fabric, lots of bits and pieces out of my bits and pieces box. So just go there, let's trim that one just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so I've got my background. So I'm just going to play around now with lots and lots of different layers. Like usual, there is no definite plan for what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with rectangles and squares. But I want to do lots and lots of scrappy bits. Maybe vary my edges. So I could have some cut. I fancy doing some bits as well that stick out. Now I've got to remember from my tags, because of when you have your tags, try and get all your sticking out bits maybe all at the same side, sorry. So mine are at the right hand side. So if that was going to go there, I fancy having like a little tag that just sticks out. So just a bit of finger pressing. Just hold it in place. Let's stick it out a little bit more. Okay. Right, so I'm going to work my way through all my bits of fabric. Oh, that's nice. Nice corner edge there. I might actually put that underneath. So I hope I find everybody really well this week. Hope you've had a good week, not been too stressful. Hope if you've been able to, some of you have been getting your jabs. No idea when that's going to happen for me. So not done key workers. Well, when I filmed this, they hadn't done key workers. So we shall see. But anyway, as long as we're heading in the right direction, that's all that's important, really. Okay. So you can see I'm not really planning anything. I've just pulled out lots of bits of fabric and I'm just cutting and playing. So you might want to cut specific things. So this bit here has got a lovely little flower. Look at that. Got a really lovely little heart shape on there. Now, I want some more, because I've got a raggedy bit there, so I'd quite like a raggedy bit down the other side. So these are lovely on the edges of quite a lot of upholstery fabrics. You just get the white edge and then these gorgeous fluffy edges. So I'm going to put that there. There we go there, might make it a bit smaller. So again, keep all the bits that you're chopping, because I usually find it's quite nice sometimes to repeat little bits. I've got like that little bit there, so I could pop that in. That's cute. Then I'm going to trim that off the same height. I quite like that going down there. So we're just slowly going to get smaller and smaller little bits of fabric. It's quite nice with a little, oh, going quite floral. It's amazing how much, just get a few days where the weather just begins to sort itself out. It just makes you feel so much better. Love raggedy edges. So just pulling out your warp or your weft or both, you just create some gorgeous little textures and shapes. Oh, that's cute on there. So you can just see I'm just layering up lots of bits. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I'm sure I can add some more. Let's go over the top. Another little bit of that. Mind you, I have got my lovely little lacy bit, but actually looking at that now, that's possibly a little bit too big. What else have I got? That's way too big. Oh, they're quite cute. One little, that look okay? Oh, now you see I've got all 3, but then that's like covering up everything that you've just done. One at the top there could be quite nice, because obviously I've got all my buttons as well to pop on. That covers that flower up. Right, we'll go there. Oh yes, I'm liking that. Right, so now we've got that we like. Let's grab a few pins. And I'm going to stitch the whole thing at the same time. So if you wanted to, let's move my thing out the back. If you wanted to just add a layer and then stitch, that's fine. Like I say, each week I'm just giving you a couple of hints and tips, some guidelines, but I know that there's a lot of talented people out there that are joining in, and you've all got amazing ideas, and sometimes you sort of dictated to what you're going to do by the stash that you've got, the materials that you've got. So there we've got our layers. That's what we're going with this week. Lots and lots of layers. And then it'll be a decision whether or not you want to put the buttons on. I quite like these little toggles. So it might be that all I do this week is quite like those 3 on there. I've got my little piece there. Now, it's like you could put buttons on, but you start putting buttons on sometimes and it just covers things up. So I think that's off a bit of jewellery, which is quite pretty. So I could couch that down. Obviously, I've got my safety pins if I decided that I wanted to put those on there. But at the moment, I know I definitely want my little tags. So they're going to be just move to one side. So we're going to start off stitching. So my DMC thread, I've just got 3 strands. So we're going to start stitching. So I'm going to start with my square on the top, because I know that once I've stitched that, it actually will hold a lot of those bits of fabric in place. And again, you can use any stitch you want. I'm just going to start off with a little running stitch just to begin with. Let's see if we get a bit more lighting going on. There we go. So it was really sunny when I got set up, so I've had to close the blind and put cardboard up against the window, because the sun, even though it was beautiful, I couldn't actually see what I was doing. Now you might want to, when you're doing this, do a totally contrasting thread. So if I was going to use a contrast to this on the colour wheel, the opposite to yellow is purple. And just by using contrasting colours, they can really pop out. They can clash sometimes against each other, but sometimes people really like that use of colour, and it just sings. But with this one, I'm going for all similar tones. So I've gone for like goldy colours. I know I've got a couple in there that are a bit more green than gold, but it's just looking for shades and looking at different textures as well. If all your fabrics or materials are all the same texture, your piece can end up feeling a little bit flat. And also playing around with a cut edge and a frayed edge, again, it just adds a little bit more to your piece. So we're not going really with a specific stitch or a technique. Basically, I just came home today and just wanted to do some sewing, so I just decided layers. Lots of layers. So I think I've ended up with about 10 different bits of fabric all layered up. You could just start with a big shape and get smaller and smaller and smaller if you wanted to. So I can take that pin out. Oh. That might still move, so I'm just going to leave that in. So I need to come down. Oh no, I think I might carry on actually. I quite like the idea of just doing this straight stitch around the edge. So I've got my other little square here with the flower on. So using the same thread, not tying it off at the back, just carrying on stitching. We'll go around the edge of this one. I just like doing something like this. It's just very relaxing. I've got a bit of the time at the moment where my head it's just packed full of stuff, just flying around. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a breather, just a little bit of a break. And that was the idea about the tags. I can already feel that my shoulders are relaxing a little bit more now. I'm chilling. Got my cup of coffee. I'm sat in my room and I'm sewing. It's amazing how good this makes you feel. Just that little bit of an escape. Not that we need anything really to escape from at the moment, I suppose, apart from just the same old, same old. But I am enjoying doing these. I keep doing them a chunk at a time. That's why a few weeks ago there was a bit of a panic, because I've been scheduling the posts so that I don't forget to post them really, and one of them went out early. I know it caused a bit of a panic. I apologise for that. two of my little squares, just stitch down there, so then I can start coming down the piece. But actually I might, if I stitch that on, so with this one, because it's an edge, I think I might do a blanket stitch. So a blanket stitch, start at the top, lay your thread in the direction that you want to go in, and then you just do a little stitch down and you come up so your needle's in front of the thread. Okay, and then you pull it up, you create like a little right angle. Oops. So you just get a little right angle there, just in your piece. So that thread lays along in the direction that you're going to stitch. Stitch needle goes down, it comes back up, oops, and the thread goes round the back of the needle. So we've done blanket stitch before, but I always think it's just quite nice to remind you how to do it. Just a little bit of a reminder. So just in and up, and then thread behind. Up and behind. And then just to finish it off, up, behind, and then just go down the other side. There we go. I can tie that off at the back, and then I'm going to change threads. I have a lot of different types of threads that I really like using. So I've done quite a lot of stuff in the Perlé thread, but I thought I'd try something a bit different. Because you end up sometimes, if you work with the same threads all the time, you get the same sort of finish. So a linen thread, this one is 100% linen yarn, and sometimes when I've got them I might run them through a little bit of beeswax just to make them sew a little bit easier, but sometimes just running them through your fingers just softens them up a little bit. Linen thread is not as forgiving as other threads when it comes to stitching. It can be a little bit trickier. So we've got all the top bits stitched in, so I can take those two pins out. So I need to start looking down at the bottom bit. So I'm going to do the same thing with just going down the edge, just with a running stitch. So you can see this is where we go. A little bit harder to stitch with. It's beautiful thread. But it just needs a little bit of encouragement. Oh, there we go. That one, it's a vintage one. I'll put the link to the places sometimes I get my linen threads from in the blurb. But like I've said before, a lot of the time I just pick threads up where I see them. So I'm really hoping, I'm not sure that they will, but I'm hoping there might be some shows this year. It's not the same buying things online as it is actually going and seeing things. I just think in textiles you just need to see stuff and feel it, and also see the colours. I know I've ordered some things while we've been off and they've turned up and I've just looked at them and thought, oh my god, that is not the colour I expected it to be. Okay, right, so this shape goes round that other side. So I'm going to do it and continue going around the edge of the square and just go straight over the lace. I'm not sure if I'm going to do any fancy threads on this. Haven't quite decided. Hopefully you're all getting used to the fact that I don't really have a plan. The only plan that I have is what the theme's going to be. And then I just think it's nice just going with it. I think sometimes you can really end up over planning everything. I think some things do need planning, definitely. But the whole idea about these tags is it's not about sitting and doing loads of plans. The biggest decision you have to make is what materials am I going to use? And then just sit and play. Just enjoy it. With me rambling on. If any of you have been to any of my online talks where I talk about how I sort of got into this, I talk about being known as a wobble gob. I don't know if that is a saying anywhere else. It's one that my mum came up with for me because I didn't tend to shut up. So I was known as a wobble gob. Right, that one's sort of finished there, but I need to stitch the edge of this down. So I'm just going to move my stitch in just a little bit. And then I can get the edge of this down. Then I think that's all the bits stitched down. Look at this flying ahead now. Be interested to see what colours everybody chooses, whether or not you all want to go gold or goldy colours. Would be nice. Maybe we should call it golden layers. But I don't really want to have to say you've got to do that colour because it all depends on what everybody's got at home. So feel free to choose any colour that you want. Okay. Get to the end of this a little bit. So like usual, I'll probably do a little bit more stitching on this. Obviously you can take it into your background, so add a little bit of stitching on there as well, just to add a bit of detail. There we go. Okay, so that's my piece so far. I'll probably do a little bit more stitching down here and then I'll get my little toggles on and then decide what else I'm going to do. I might just do a little bit of stitching around that flower, but I do want just all the different layers and the different textures to really stand out on this tag. And then I'll do the same thing that I always do where you glue it on and then stitch it onto your background, and then when you're ready you can do your comment, if you're doing your comment on the back, or your little diary message or whatever. So that's what we're doing on week 13. I can't wait to see what everybody does, and I hope everybody is safe and well. I'll see you soon.